You're listening to Barbell Logic,
the podcast where we talk about what it means to experience strength
and how you can use simple, hard, and effective strategies in training and nutrition to improve your life.
It starts with meeting you where you are right now and finding lasting solutions.
Welcome to the show.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Barbell Logic podcast. Welcome to your favorite podcast, Beast Over Burden. I'm your host, Nikki Sims. With me is Andrew Jackson.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Nice to have you.
Good to be back.
One of my favorite podcasts, they do that on every episode. And one day the guy was just like, this part of the podcast is just so awkward.
A little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. Anyway, glad to be here.
Are you still a coach?
Yes, I still am coaching.
Me too.
Still coaching. Working on the product, which is TKC. Been
Turnkey
working on
coach.
Online coaching. TKC, yes, turnkey coach. Thank you. Which we had a strategic meeting last week. Poor Matt was really sick, but we still got to talk a lot. And for some reason, I was sitting there like kind of wandering off at one moment and really appreciated the name turnkey coach and like kind of the vision of the software, which is like, here's your way to turn in the keys to your gym. And also here is the way to bring your coaching online. And so anyway, totally unrelated, but that was just a thought tangent I had recently. It was just like, yeah, that really does enable you to turn an in-person experience into something where you can bring it online and connect with more people. So I thought that was really neat.
Thank you.
Any new fun developments on the software?
Well, we just prototyped a AI programming assistant feature that came out pretty cool. We've been talking about it for a while, and it's listed actually on the website as one of the features that we will eventually release with our enterprise tier of service. And the intention is not to replace the coach's program, just like for those that are aware of the GitHub Copilot service that's out there for software developers. It doesn't replace the software developer, but it allows the developer to significantly improve their speed and the effectiveness of their programming by automating certain aspects of it. And the intention that we have with potentially using AI is to help the coach by potentially anticipating what they might program, or to give them kind of nudges in a direction that they would go, because we can actually train the AI to learn how the coach programs or how the client responds, and eliminate or automate some of the administrative tasks that a coach has to perform, where they're what I call in lean manufacturing process improvement, non-value add, but necessary, meaning that the work that the coach has to do doesn't directly add value. The client doesn't care whether they have typed in the exercise in a certain way or clicked a certain number of buttons or copy and pasted certain things in the program. They just care that they get the program. So it's necessary that the coach do all of those keystrokes and mouse movements, but it doesn't add value directly to the client experience. So if we can either eliminate or automate those steps so that it's faster or easier for the coach to do, then it's a win. So that's one of the fun things we're working on. And other than that, it probably gets too nerdy too quick to talk about. There's a lot of things on the back end that we work on to just improve the speed of the app, the security, the reliability. You might notice kind of incrementally, but wouldn't be able to really summarize it in an interesting way.
Well, thank you for doing all those things, and thank you for not trying to explain them to me.
Oh, I do have one. Actually, we're about to release a major UI change, user interface change for the My Workout page.
I'm excited about this one.
I think it's going to improve the ability for a user to go find workouts or scroll through their calendar. And I think it's also going to make the nutrition and the workout assignment more seamless for the user. Right now, you have to toggle between calendars. I think it's going to be better for the client to be able to see them all on one workout screen rather than having to change calendars. So pretty excited about that.
Very exciting.
Yes.
And yeah, we've talked about that AI thing a lot. That comes up frequently in kind of where is the discussion of where is coaching going? And someone can totally go online to whatever AI service, and you can have AI write you a program.
Yep. I've tested that. Yeah.
And it may be better than a program you can get from a trainer somewhere.
Yeah.
Except, and you can come back and have them make updates, but it's still not the person. We do believe that when someone signs up to work for the coach, like you're signing up to have some other human invest in your training and help you navigate it and make decisions that are informed and based on what you want. And even though the AI can have better bedside manner, as we've also noticed, there's still something missing in the AI component. But I like the idea of using it to eliminate, maybe admin tasks and things that would distract the coach and maybe even distract the client.
Yeah, we are doubling down on the human connection component.
Yeah.
And I don't see it as a mechanism to replace coaching. It's not something that we're developing so that we don't have coaches anymore. We are 100% leaning into connecting humans and technology being an enabler to, like I said, remove waste and make time optimized for both the client and the coach. But still at the core of it, if we could do it perfectly, it would be pure human connection and the technology would be invisible, ideally.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's not a one or the other. It's an enabling tool. And that's, I think, really just carrying forward the vision that Matt has set for the company, that we're not a template company. We're not selling programs. We are enabling human connection so that the world can be a stronger place, a more muscular place, I think we said last time.
So tech enabled, I think we've used that word before, and that's even been mentioned on one of our favorite podcasts, All In. Something that I think that helps us do, which I really like how you're integrating that into the development of the software, is it helps coaches be more professional. And that's something that and Matt, like you said just a second ago, something that he recognized was missing from the in-person gym business. And we've noticed that is missing from the online version of coaching. And when you get to a point maybe in your life and in anything that's important to you, and when you get to a point in your training where you have the resources and the time and the willingness to want to be successful, it's frustrating when there aren't the services that meet your needs at that level. It seems unprofessional. What are things that you've noticed come across as unprofessional in the coaching realm?
Well, I gave a presentation. I wrote an article on my philosophy of trust-based coaching being what I equate to professional coaching, and those elements of the perceived ability, perceived integrity, and perceived benevolence of the coach by the client is the core of a professional relationship. And in all of my coaching experience as a client and also as a coach, I guess I could argue, the ones where the relationship starts to feel unprofessional or eventually, in many cases, ends is when one of those things is not present. Either the coach does not have the ability, I don't perceive that the coach has the ability to deliver what I want from a coaching service. They don't have the demonstrated integrity, meaning their actions don't match their words, or that I don't think that they care about me or my progress anymore. So that's how I bucketize what I see in the industry. And I think you can often find two, but it's very rare that you find somebody who's providing all three at a world-class level. And I think that's a byproduct of, at least within the barbell and kind of fitness industry, the problem that someone who is able to provide professional coaching service from a life experience perspective, from a ability perspective, from a life experience perspective enough to have integrity and to be benevolent just as a human being towards another human being, often requires many years. And somebody who is at a point in their career where they're looking to do work where they can be compensated, because those are skills that are typically really valuable in other industries where they could be making a lot of money. So the industry, I believe, has historically been dominated by athletes or young adults or high school and collegiate level athletes, 15 to 30, maybe on the upper end, are the consumers of coaching products, unless you're coaching where the parents are footing the bill, or you're working in a group class environment where you have numbers that can rationalize a price point where somebody could make a good income. There hasn't been a very good price point for large numbers of people to be able to afford working with a very professional coach, unless you're, an elite athlete or uber wealthy and can afford that luxury item, what most people consider a luxury item. And so I think we have now a tipping point in the industry where barbells and strength training are in demand from enough people that have disposable income and the desire to look for professional level coaching, and more people that have access to the technology to be able to deliver professional coaching. Because again, that ability thing also limits the pool of people. Like, you're probably not going to find a world-class barbell coach in small town America. I mean, maybe it's just a very low probability. It's there. I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but just harder to find that. What I think we're doing at Barbell Logic, what I think Barbell Logic pioneered, and what I think TKC is going to enable more coaches to do, is find that intersection of a price point that more people can afford for a value and service level that the coach can provide in a small enough amount of time that the two can both get their needs met and support a true professional level of income for the coach.
I like what you said about giving the industry the credit of being professional. Like, it's what people want to know: how to age well. They want to know how to have muscle. They want to know how to make body composition changes. And those have to be informed and educated. And when they're not, I think you end up with what we see a lot, which is a sea of quick fixes, where it's like you open up Instagram, you open up TikTok, and you get a minor solution or a Band-Aid fix to some problem, but you don't really get the changes and support needed for a long-term actual experience of being a human. So when you're professional, you're able to make changes for the person over a long amount of time. And when it's unprofessional, it's like little nuggets that result in engagement, little nuggets that result in a template sale, little nuggets that are worth $5.99. And the professionalism is something that's high value, where the person is seen for their full self and not just this small fear or small question that they have that's like a Band-Aid fix. And I think you're totally right that knowledge deserves to be you have to expect that of yourself as a coach, and you have to be able to deliver it and ask for a high ticket. And if you want to deliver it and ask for a high ticket, you can't be sending people like Google spreadsheets and Google Docs. And you can't be delivering this experience that feels like a challenge to your client. Like, the way I see professionalism and the way I feel it is the customer, it makes it easy for them in the right places. When it comes to coaching, the work needs to be under the barbell. The work needs to be in nutrition. The work shouldn't be how to read your workout or how to communicate what you need or how to pay or how to connect with your coach. That is, to me, totally unprofessional. It's like walking into a broken gym where it's dirty and you can't ever use the equipment that you want. That is unprofessional.
Yeah, and in my framework, I would bucket that into the benevolence category and a little bit of the ability.
Because you care.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It communicates that you care and that you're able to provide this service at a very high level, where it's not putting a bunch of work onto the client. The knowledge one is interesting because that's an example where I've seen in the fitness industry the other extreme of the ability that you described, which is low ability and giving 2-second advice on TikTok. You also have the guru effect that's been popular, I think, in the fitness industry, where somebody will expect or treat clients as if they had some special powers in the universe that warranted them to have unprofessional relationship with their clients in many different ways. This can get really dark and manipulative and, unhealthy. Just unhealthy relationships are pervasive in the fitness industry, often because people are in a really vulnerable place. So they're relatively easy to be seduced by somebody who takes advantage of the fact that they have
all of the answers.
What appears to be secret powers.
Guru.
Right. Right. All the answers that cannot be challenged, cannot be questioned. And because it's been relatively hard to find people with the ability to do what a good strength coach can do or a good fitness professional can do, and because there's so much confusion in the market, it's really easy to manipulate people. That's one of the other kind of ends of that spectrum you were talking about that I think is going to be harder and harder to get away with because the industry is getting more competitive. And I think that's one of the things you've talked about, right, on the podcast with Matt that we did when you were saying it's not good enough anymore.
Yeah, you can't just coach online. Like online coaching is saturated. Mm-hmm. What are you doing that's different? What are you doing that's better?
I mean, it's really interesting to see clients now that have been with Barbell Logic, have left, and then they come back after trying other services. And, this is something I think we're going to be working on to help people maybe recognize that what we do is different. But there's a lot of people saying they're all doing quote unquote online coaching, but it's not the same.
Yeah.
And I think the level of professionalism that we've built and instilled in our culture is a huge differentiator in that process. And just professionalism in general in the market right now is a huge opportunity to set yourself apart.
Totally. When people's money gets tighter and when their time gets tighter, they are so less inclined to spend any energy like making these hard decisions or working through unnecessary friction.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's just the one who's going to win is the one that creates the most frictionless experience that clearly lays out expectations and clearly follows through with the delivery of them.
Yep.
It's almost that simple. It's hard to execute. We know that because creating a frictionless experience is actually a whole web of decisions and a whole web of plans. But the user, like you said earlier, they don't feel the technology. They don't feel it. They feel the connection with the other human. They don't feel all like the steps that you might have to go through to get there. Something that comes to mind is like when you get a quote from a gym or a coach or a service, like this just came up in a gym I went to check out, where they charge $100 every 4 weeks. But then when you join, you pay your first and last month, and then you have to give a 30-day cancellation policy. And I'm just like, how am I supposed to make this fit into like the normal standard of my brain?
Right.
Like this is, all of a sudden, I liked this gym, but I'm super annoyed by you doing this. That to me feels unprofessional. It feels like they're trying to trick me. And like, I think that's just kind of a red flag in my opinion.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it wouldn't change your behavior. Obviously that policy exists. And we had a version of this originally. If you remember back when we had the 3-month minimum.
Yeah.
But we got rid of it.
Yeah.
And we had the 30-day cancellation. And then we got rid of that because it was creating negative experience for people that wanted to do the right thing or needed to do what was best for them. And it was unnecessary. It's totally unnecessary. And when we remove those things, like the only reason that you would have those is if you were insecure about the level of service that you were providing, being unable to keep your clients willing to stay. Why else would you do that?
Yeah.
Especially for something like a gym where they're not putting some sort of investment into, the first month or something like that, where,
right.
Some extra level of service is happening. I don't know, unless maybe they are.
No.
were they pitching like free back rubs for a month or something?
I mean, they would have had me on the spot there, but no.
That would be the only exception I could think of, is where it's like you're getting some extraordinary level of on-ramping service that they need to, recoup their costs, but they're letting you in the front door and giving you a key card, maybe at best.
Yep. Yeah.
And
yeah.
So it's it is frustrating.
Stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's something to me that seems unprofessional. So yeah, I think as we keep moving forward, and this is something that we're definitely working on internally, and I'm excited to work on it more externally, is where are we going? What does that future look like? And how are we going to keep meeting these needs in a way that feels easy in the right places and then only hard when it needs to be, The hard is in the training, like the simple is in the experience. That's kind of where we're headed, and I'm excited to see what that really ends up looking like.
I like that. I was actually using the simple, hard, effective in thinking about my annual game plan for the TKC, and I was trying to flip it.
Ooh.
I was thinking that features should be solving pain points that are adding complexity or making the app hard to use or making it ineffective from a time perspective. And so I'm trying to, instill that culture in how we think about even the features that we build, because like you said, it should be simple, easy, and effective.
Yeah.
Or I like the way you phrase it. It should be simple, hard where it's supposed to be, and effective.
Yeah.
And I'm really trying to stay professional at this particular moment.
I know. So many times. Well, I have come up with the title for this episode.
Oh boy. You're the best at naming the episodes. That's for sure.
Anyway, but yeah, that lens of simple, hard, effective keeps coming up in like a lot of things that I'm doing too. Like, is this meal simple, hard, and effective? Yeah, like, is this workout simple, hard, and effective? Yeah, anyway, it's a fun lens.
Yeah. Well, the thing I'm excited about that gets me fired up is that having been on the receiving end of a lot of those experiences, I find myself getting really fired up and passionate about wanting to provide a professional level of coaching to more people and to enable more people to experience that, because I think that's the way it should be. I don't want to just sit here and complain about it.
Right.
I want to go out and do something. I feel motivated to take action. I was listening to, I think it was another Andrew Huberman with Robert Greene, and they were talking about when you're a child, there are certain things that you get excited about or interested in or just naturally drawn to, and that those are things that you kind of tend to tamp down as you get older and lose sight of. And that when you're pursuing a path of mastery, you really want to find those things that, as Andrew Huberman was kind of describing, that call you to action. Like, he's not just excited about them, but that you want to do something about it. And that's what I feel when we start talking about this problem that's in the industry and in the market, is that not only do I get excited and interested about it because I love helping people get stronger, but I think people deserve that professional level of coaching, but it's something that I want to go do something about. And I think we are doing it.
Yeah.
It feels very mission oriented.
Totally. Yeah. It's a very passion-driven effort, and that's really fun. Speaking of like how we have the tools to solve people's problems, that reminded me, we've been getting a lot of follow-up questions about our magnesium discussion.
So many questions about magnesium.
Because I think everybody really wants to know how to sleep. Like, sleeping is so great. Oh my gosh. And we were totally sleep bragging.
What brand are you using? When do you do it? How do you do it? Where do you get it?
Which made me realize I didn't really know what I was doing. And then I had to start Googling.
Nor did I.
Yeah. So what I have found is that there are many types of magnesium. The type that you and I first started taking is magnesium oxide, which from my quick Google search let me know that that may not have anything to do with sleep. It has more to do with gut health. But the one allegedly people respond to best when it comes to sleep is glycinate. And so I have been taking some of that. Sleep's been pretty great. And then
magnesium citrate.
I have also experienced positive impacts.
Yeah, that one's in Natural Calm. I used Natural Calm for a long time.
Yeah.
That one, they even have one that's a combo with, what's the stuff that knocks you out?
Melatonin.
Melatonin, yeah. They've got a combo of that. I don't really like melatonin. That one gives me weird.
That one makes me like jerk out of my sleep at night. I don't like that stuff.
It puts me in this like half drowsy state. It's hard to describe, but I get like kind of sleepy, but not asleep.
Yeah, I don't like that.
But anyways, magnesium citrate is what Natural Calm uses, and I have enjoyed that in the past. But I think the one that, and well, for whatever it's worth, the oxide knocked me out, or whatever else is in that combo one. I was
hilarious.
Passed out in the store. Which
So
I think the important point there is there are lots of different types of magnesium. And of course, your mileage may vary. So you might have to experiment.
We're not doctors. We're not Peter Attia. Try some out.
No, but he does have a full episode on magnesium.
Yeah. If you want to be put to sleep, listen to that episode about magnesium.
I think he said he takes like 3 or 4 different types of magnesium daily. I mean, I don't know if you've ever seen him show like his daily, supplement.
Pill popper pack.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But it's pretty intense. But anyways, check it out for yourself. But that's what we're using, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, I was looking at my numbers the other day. Since adding magnesium and also reducing alcohol intake, or essentially eliminating it with a few exceptions, I've added over an hour of deep sleep. Most notably, it's coming from the beginning of the night.
Ooh, that's nice.
Which is important because then I'm not dependent on getting the perfect long night of sleep. So sometimes I might only get 5, 6, or 7 hours of sleep, and I'm still hitting close to 2 hours, if not even hitting, 2+ hours on less than 6 hours of sleep.
Yeah.
That's been the biggest game changer, because I used to only hit 2 hours of sleep if I was in bed for 8 or 9 hours, and typically would get between 1 to 1.5. Getting the deep sleep at the front end of the night has been the biggest game changer for me.
Man, that's totally different. I'm appreciative for how many fewer wrinkles and dark circles I have under my eyes. That's been the best.
The other recent one, if, just for people that get excited about sleep, that I started experimenting more with was I stopped eating, or my last meal and last beverage is earlier in the night now. Roughly trying to get about 12 hours between my last meal and my first meal. And that's also, I'm noticing, making sleep a little better. Well, heart rate is lower for sure.
That's cool. Yeah, your heart rate's been super low.
Yep. Anywho.
Cool. Well, I'm going to throw out a pitch for our, kind of circling back to the connection that we're doubling down on. I'm going to throw out a pitch for our coach match quiz on our website, that if you're curious about what it would be like to work with a coach, just go on our website. There's a button to get matched with my coach. Click on that, and you end up taking a survey about your goals and the way you like to work with a coach. And you can see a selection of coaches who we think would be freaking awesome for you to work with. So have fun with it. You can take the quiz as many times as you want. barbelllogic.com, and then click on get matched with my coach. And that's it for today. We will see you next week. Thanks, Andrew.
Bye-bye.